Good morning. It is Wednesday. It is hump day. We got to say hi to Mike. John's waiting on his t-shirt with good reason because Brooks didn't send it yet. Hey, John, are you not a member yet? You could get a discount. But hey, if you're getting it for free, you don't have to worry about it. Who's got on their pink? Aggie's got on pink lipstick. Good golly, Miss Molly, she's got on pink lipstick. I love how you all gave her that name because, well, you are the best and she is super cool. A lot of stuff has happened in the last week. Look at John. If it's free, it's for me. Woo, buddy. That's what I'm talking about. Wow. Exciting week. I reached out to several creators. Some gave me their word, and some of them you all know. No names need to be mentioned. Their word is just about as good as me saying I'm safe to drive home from the bar. So we're going to put that on the back burner, okay? But we are continuing. There is some big news. Joseph Scott Morgan, you know, from the podcast Body Bags. He's always on Nancy Grace, News Nation. He has been reached out to. Before we get to all of it, Joanne Lane has pink socks on. Woohoo. Just me. She knows the routine. Trust but verify. Trust but verify. Can someone please, maybe True Crime Beat can do it because she just got in here 3 minutes late, but you did a great job on Alana's video last night. Me love you long time, True Crime Beat. Can you please put Aunt Molly's TikTok in here? That is something I did not do yesterday. If anybody could put it in here, I think you have to have a wrench to do it. Good morning, Joby. Good morning. You guys have really kicked up a storm, and I am loving it. I know who's not, though. His name is Cody. Let's take a moment and celebrate Wednesday because we know we're halfway to the weekend.
Oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
Almost to the weekend, and if you're in Oklahoma, it's going to be rainy, stormy, lightning, thunder, which we need because currently on the other side of Highway 75, for me, you can smell it. There's a huge fire over in Jinx, Oklahoma. And I love my Okies. I love them because in the comments, they're saying, I hope it doesn't hit the new outlet mall because I haven't got a chance to get there yet. And I'm like, never mind the schools, hospitals, and people. You just don't want to lose your Bath and Body Works. It's okay. But today is Wednesday, and we wear pink. And we know who can sit with us. I think today we're going to put John at the head of the table. Susan, can you please, even though he doesn't have pink on, he's honorary pink. All right? We're going to move him to the head of the table, and we're going to put Molly to the right. Oh, we do. Oh, we do. John, look at that. Humble John said, nah, please put Molly at the head of the table. I work for her. Ooh, he's in his place. John. John's awesome. This is definitely pure passion for John. Absolutely. Well, let's take a second and tell everyone good morning. Say thank you. You're here. Yawn, stretch, and maybe put in some well wishes for Kevin, Heather, and of course, good golly, Miss Molly to see. All right, now I'm going to bring up our very, look at that, family by choice for Alana. Exactly. I'm going to bring up our spectacular friend, as you guys keep calling her, good golly, Miss Molly, because she's not going to stop. John calls her the unsinkable Molly. Let's please have a huge CLL round of applause for Aunt Molly. She's here, everybody. Was that song inappropriate?
No.
Stacy said, welcome, Molly. V. Oakley said, oh, no, she didn't, because now V. Oakley's got to get up and dance. Juicy Jules said, Chubby Checker is better. He don't sing a song about Molly, damn it. Calm down, Juicy Jules. All right, lots gone on in the last week. Let's do tell what you can.
Right. So the being connected to Joseph Morgan is very exciting. I'm very grateful that you made that connection for me. I'm anxious to hear back to how he can get involved in what he's interested in doing with us. I'm also waiting to hear back from the District Attorney Assistant, Kelly Trimble, on whether OSBI found fingerprints on the gun. So they found the gun that was missing. And now we need to know, okay, did OSBI test it, is what she was telling me. So I need to know that. And then we also discovered some very telling protective orders from an ex-girlfriend.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about that.
Very telling.
Very telling. Well, let's start with comments from the last show. Walking Dead is taking a tour through your living room. You have to ignore her because she's new here. She wants to know about your lamp over your shoulder. Whenever you have a garage sale and that lamp's available, you let your old buddy Brooks know, okay?
Yeah, that's our big boom, our Boomer Sooner lamp.
Anything else about Molly's living room you would like to know, Walking Dead? Would you like a tour of her bathroom? Walking Dead, I love that lamp. It's very beautiful. Oklahoma Sooners, baby. This is going to be our year. That's right, baby. It is. All right, let's get to the comments from the last show. Okay, a couple of these were held for review for good measure because, well, if you don't watch the show, you don't have the facts, and we can honestly tell when someone has watched or when they just read a little bit of the title and they come in with questions that have already been answered. So I'm going to give a certain shout out to these people, okay? Hold on. Betty Smith said, Chris McDonough carried your story. Now, we have reached out to him several times. I even reached out to Josh from the lab and have not heard anything back. Betty, can you please email me where Chris McDonough has mentioned Alana Raffield? Here's my email right here, baby. I know he just hopped on with the Emily Pike case. We will be talking about that tomorrow, but thank you for that, Betty. So now for your comments. Kathy Ploof 1216 said, thank you for bringing attention to this tragic case. Brooks, do you remember about 10 to 12 years ago? 10 to 12 years ago feels to me like when Dirty Dancing came out. So don't be asking me about years, but this does ring a bell. A retired detective went to work for OSBI. After a few months, he quit and went to the newspaper in Oklahoma City. This detective was shocked at the incompetency of OSBI and felt people needed to know about it. I think it was roughly about the time Carol Daniels was murdered in Anadarko. Totally different story. Then more recently, there was an RSO who murdered his daughter's friends and then his family and himself, allegedly. Nope. Kathy, that happened. That was in Henrietta, Oklahoma. And to be quite honest, OSBI had nothing to do with that. That is Oklahoma Department of Corrections. They dropped that ball. Justin Webster has taken up new legislation. It's called Knight's Law, and it should be nationwide. It's about keeping sickos in the jail-o. I think it was OSBI that told the slain daughter's family to get anything they wanted from the crime scene. Yes and no. That's a totally different show. The family found toddler clothes, CP, dozens of burner phones, and more. Oh, they found a lot. They called LE thinking they missed all the evidence. The officer that responded said, "What difference does it make now? I think they recorded the encounter." They did. We've had it on our show many times. All kinds of strange happenings with that case where it looked like LE was covering for this guy, which is common. It is more common than not. And I don't like to be the corruption gal. But if they know they have screwed up in place 1, when it gets to, let's say, place 5, sometimes they feel a need as a human, and yes, even officer of the law, to backpedal and cover their mistake as opposed to admit to it and correct it. I don't understand it, but they do. All kinds of strange happenings with that case where it looked like LE was covering for this guy. I said this because I am wondering about the competency. Well, I am too. But I do know that Kevin and Heather are working with a state representative that has Alana's law now. And a lot of things seem to be happening. Now, here is another comment. Now, this one's held for review. I called the DA in Prague. Now, this woman lives in Prague, so she doesn't want her name out. And they said it's an open investigation. Can you comment on that, Molly?
Yes, it is an open investigation. That doesn't mean that they are taking action. But the DA became aware of what a botched job that Prague police did. So they said, "We are taking it over from you." And this was whenever a guy named Alan Grubb was the DA. And he took over from Prague and took evidence from there, and took some of the evidence that was given to Kevin and Heather from Prague. He came by there and took it from them. And then shortly after that, he was forced to resign because they found out he was accepting bribes.
Uh-huh.
So then the new DA, who's now Adam Painter, and his DA assistant, Kelly Trimble, they're now in charge, but they didn't go to see what was unfinished work. I don't believe. It seems like, because whenever I called Kelly Trimble probably 3 weeks ago to say, this is my first call to her, I was asking, where do we stand with criminal charges in Alana's case?
Mm-hmm.
And she was kind of like, "Oh gosh, I just don't think we have anything." And I said, "Well, what do you have?" And she said, "Nothing as far as evidence goes." And I said, "Well, there should be this and this and this and this." So she needed me to provide her with all the information. So I made the calls and got that information that she needed, submitted it to her. And then within a couple of weeks, she was able to locate at least the gun as part of that evidence. And so now I'm waiting to find, okay, tell me about the fingerprints and DNA testing done on that gun. She hasn't got to me about that yet. So this is kind of like someone's having to check in with her and tell her, we're waiting for an answer. We need you to check on this, which I'm happy to do, but I shouldn't have to do that. It is disappointing, but I don't know.
Well, it is definitely disappointing, 100%. And that's the reason we really need the OSBI to be involved. And they should have been involved from the beginning. Now, we know that time has been lost on that, but not all is lost, because Cody's own words should carry a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
So, Petrillo, thank you so much for the Crime Lines and Lies memberships. Y'all allow gifts, and see if you become the proud card-carrying member of Crime Lines and Lies. All right, so I shared this in the Crime Lines and Lies Facebook group yesterday. There's our beautiful friend Molly, and she's given an update about reaching out to Joseph Morgan.
So our friend Brooks Jones from Crime Lines and Lies went to
Ooh, that's me.
this past weekend. And
Actually went last night. It wasn't last weekend. It took me a lot of digging through my stuff to find his business card. You know how things hit you at like 2:00 in the morning?
Yes.
I'm like, I know it's around here somewhere. All the lights in the house come on, scared the shit out of my neighbor Linda, didn't know what was going on. And I found
and met a forensic investigator. He's from Jacksonville State University. His name is Joseph Morgan, and he has appeared on TV as a forensic expert for numerous interviews, and he is interested in helping with Alana's case. So I'm going to be emailing him Alana's autopsy. I'm just waiting on my brother to email that to me, and I'm going to forward that on to him. And I'm going to let you guys know how things progress with him. But I wanted to share that with you because that's huge, exciting. That's a big deal. Okay, guys, I have some exciting news. Our friend Brooks Jones from Crime Lines and Lies went to CrimeCon this past weekend and met a forensic investigator. He's from Jacksonville State University. His name is Joseph Morgan, and he has appeared on TV as a forensic expert for numerous interviews, and he is interested in helping with Alana's case. So I'm going to be emailing him Alana's autopsy. I'm just waiting on my brother to email that to me, and I'm going to forward that on to him. And I'm going to let you guys know how things progress with him. But I wanted to share that with you because that's huge, exciting. That's a big deal.
that's what I'm talking about. Teamwork makes it work.
Yes.
DC said, oh, yes, Joe Scott, as Nancy would say. I would like to know what kind of cologne he wears because when I was talking to him at CrimeCon, man, he smelled really good. All right. Now, I really wish this girl would get back in the fold. The problem is sometimes when someone, you know what they say, no good deed goes unpunished. All right. You all know what I went through with old Cody Baker. And at the time, he was dating Marianne. And I want to make it uber clear to Marianne, nobody is mad at her. She is a victim of Cody's as well. Now, before we get to the protective order, I do want to give an invitation to this very nice woman. Her name is Just Mal, because she skated way away from Alana's case. And we need more people in the fold. Britt said, to the family, you are doing a great job and keep fighting. That's right, sister.
I heard about this case from Crime Line and Lines. I will link their YouTube channel down below.
Me again? I'm in all kinds of trouble today.
And I think it's very interesting. This case spoke to me a lot. I have a whole playlist on my channel. I will link up here if you're interested in checking out all about cases like this where it's ruled as a self-unalive, but it seems a little bit more than what it is. And I have a long story of why I am intrigued by these cases. Long story short, when I was 2 years old, my grandpa was shot 6 or 7 times. I'm not quite sure, but I know he was shot multiple times in the chest and in the back. They ruled it as an unalive. So that is why these cases really speak to me, because it hits close to home. And I honestly believe that when investigators walk into a case and they see this type of thing, that it looks some type of way, I still think it needs to be investigated too.
She's right, Just Mal. And look who just crept in the back door. Jules of True Crime Reactions. Right after the show last Wednesday, I sent her some things. She'll go balls to the wall. Now, she's a really busy lady, and when she says she's going to do something, she will. She will. May not be today, may not be tomorrow, but she will. What's up, Jules? You still giving hell about the Idaho 4 case? Love you, girl.
To the fullest extent. Alana Raffield was found on December 8th, 2020 with a weapon wound to her head. The only problem with this is there are some very bizarre details about this case, and stuff just doesn't make sense. So
As I said, Jules of True Crime Reactions said, taking notes. Definitely going to talk about this soon. I'm drowning in Idaho documents, but it's coming. I have 2 full pages. Definitely needs to be discussed. And also, she has a forensic background. So while you have me fighting with people in, comments, in replay comments, you have someone that does more of what they say, the cool people say, deep dive. They do a deep dive. Walking Dead said, Jules is an inspiration. Well, kiss my ass, Walking Dead. You're here every day and you get free shit. What's she ever done for you? Damn, Walking Dead.
Alana Marie Radfield was born December 28, 2005, and was born in Walnut Creek, California, and currently living as an only child to her mom, Heather, and her husband, Kevin, in Prague, Oklahoma. On December 8, 2020, around 6:15 in the morning, Heather woke up to let the dogs out, and Kevin was up getting ready for work. Kevin all of a sudden started to hear crying from the garage, and when he went out there, he saw Heather leaning down next to Alana's body on the ground. She was laying down flat on her back, and he immediately dialed 911. Police arrived. They started asking if she was left-handed and started asking if she was in a physical altercation the night before. She had bruises all over her abdomen, and her gunshot wound was on the left side of her head. There was no notes. There was no bullet casings found around, and Alana is right-handed. So the wound went in from the left and exited out the right. And another bizarre thing is Kevin and Heather's home is not this big, gigantic home. It's a fairly small home, and they never heard a gunshot going off. Now, in the middle of the night, Alana would usually get up and let her puppy out. But what was odd and quite alarming was the way she was found. Another thing that's odd is there's a wall right beside where Alana was found, and there was no bullet hole in that wall from where it exited. So even with all that, now obviously investigators were questioning things because of the entrance of the wound and the bruises on the abdomen. They said that, but even with all these things, no casings being found, no hole in the wall where she was right next to. Within a few weeks, they ruled Alana's death as a self-unalive. 2 years later, Kevin and Heather filed a wrongful death lawsuit and say they are the only ones fighting for justice for Alana, and they need help. A powder residue test was never performed on Alana, but it was on her clothing that the funeral home washed 3 times. And the that was found several feet away from where she was, which is odd. Usually it's right there. That was never tested either. And it was the family's weapon, but the fact that it was never tested for fingerprints or anything like that, and more than that, it was never even confirmed that that was actually the weapon that caused her injury. Now, Alana was also in a relationship with an 18-year-old.
Okay. If you're taking notes, if you know, you know. Just Mal said, no fingerprints. We just heard Aunt Molly say, we're still waiting on that testing. We're still waiting on it.
Oh boy, who admitted to police that he logged into Alana's account after she died to get some pictures. He also admitted that he was the one that sent multiple cryptic messages from Alana's account after she passed away. Like, why? Why? And y'all get this. Police did a search on the boyfriend's phone for a disturbing video that the boyfriend told investigators that detailed how to make a murder look like a self-unalive. And what about his phone location that night? Like, where was he that night? Now, here's some.
Thank you, Sleuth Station, for the Crime Lines and Lies membership. Let's see who gets that. Whiskey Dragon said, just to clarify, she wasn't in a relationship with that guy. She had a boyfriend that was her age. Cody was just a creep. I think the way Just Mal is saying it is for the PG terms that we have to use on YouTube so we don't offend, what's the cool term? The snowflakes. So we could say things like rapist, creeper, stalker, psycho. We could go through all those. YouTube, though, goes, no. So for her to say in a relationship, I don't think she means boyfriend, girlfriend. There's a bunch of pictures for the prom. So we're going to give her a pass on that. Whiskey Dragon said, sorry for the name. I'm Alana's brother. This is just an old YouTube account that I had. You are more than welcome here. And anything that you hear that is not correct, you let us know. Because without the truth, nothing we can do.
Extremely conflicting information that I have found so far as the time I'm filming this. The Prague Police Department stated that they never closed the case. The OSBI said that a case was never opened, and the DA's office said it is an open investigation. So which one is it? Is it closed? Is it open? Has it never been opened? Heather can't even step foot in her daughter's room. This family simply just wants answers. They want answers. Everything in her daughter's room is exactly the same way she left it. Her cheer outfit is still on the floor from when she took it off, and her room still smells like her baby girl. And I could not imagine knowing mother's instinct, knowing that something is wrong, something is not right, and you and your husband being the only one fighting for your child. And they deserve to know what's going on. Is it open? Is it closed? I really hope it is an open investigation. So what do y'all think? Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Just please remember to be respectful. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are not already subscribed. What are you doing?
Let's get her on the show because I think something scared her off. I saw some of the comments and, I've had some of those comments too. So Molly, the ball's in your court for today's show. Do you want to start with the protective order that Marianne put against Cody, or do you want to talk about the civil suit?
I want to first talk about the protective order because that says a lot.
I'm going to start reading it. Woo. Okay. I'm just going to get to the nitty gritty. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cody and I started dating on July 15th of 2021. We are not married and we have a 4-month-old daughter. Now, this is in 2021. The baby is older now. He became physical with me by choking me out. After he choked me, we split for about a week. After that, it just became verbal abuse. This is not a time to give her dating advice, but for the rest of you, if somebody chokes you out, we don't try to work it out. Okay, we just don't do it. But Marianne doesn't know any different. In November of 2021, I found out I was pregnant, and it was fine for a few months. After a couple of months, he began telling me to go unalive myself. We were both verbally abusive to each other. I was usually just trying to defend myself. Things began to escalate to where he would punch holes in the walls, physically restrain me, would throw me down, and stand over me and yell at me. I would kick him to avoid having anything in front of our daughter. He would leave and then come back. Wow. On one occasion, he and I were arguing because he wouldn't take me to work. What a dude. What a dude. Won't even take her to work to support him. I grabbed his bong and told him I would throw it out if he didn't take me to work. He snatched it and hit me in the stomach, leaving an imprint of the top of the bong into my stomach. This is while we were on the road driving. 2 nights ago, he kept accusing me of cheating and was indirectly threatening me to push him so that he could have a reason to go to jail. Cody has a past criminal history and has been investigated for a 14-year-old girl's death. Well, who would that 14-year-old be? The one and only beautiful Alana Raffield. There she is with Heather. This picture melts my heart. Okay, I'm sucking up the tears. I have called the police out about 3 times, but have no police reports. He has also tried to scare me by telling me he is going to unalive himself with a gun he had. This part's very interesting to me because we cannot connect the pew-pew that was found in the garage 8 feet away from Alana that was used on the wrong side of her body with her death. I'll say it that way. But Cody admits to having a pew-pew. No pun intended. That triggered me. Okay, so she's called the police out 3 times, but has no police report, so they didn't care. He also tried to scare me by telling me he's going to unalive himself with a pew-pew he had, and that I would be at fault for it. Now, tables have turned, have they not? So if he does something to himself, it would be Marianne Jackson's fault. But now, he can't be blamed for what happened to Alana. Are we getting the hypocrisy here?
Right.
Probably because we know Alana did not do anything to herself. He scares me sometimes, but I am more fearful of what he will do to our daughter. He has never been physical with her, but has told me she is not his. Well, she is. The baby is his. What a dude. What a guy. Not even mine anyway. He has also said that if I ever say anything about the girl he was being... Damn it, I lost it. Hang on. He also said that if I ever said anything about the girl he was being investigated on, that her family will come back to kill my daughter, Jaden, instead of him. Okay. I need a protective order so that he doesn't come around or be near us. As well as if anything happens to me, this is all documented, that I was taking the proper steps to ensure our safety. I think he needs mental health counseling. So what kind of contact has Cody had with the family? Were you part of this phone call, Molly? That he said, if you say anything about the 14-year-old I'm being investigated for, that family's going to pew-pew you.
No, we have nothing but empathy for his ex-girlfriend and her daughter. They are victims of Cody, just like Alana. We just don't want them to end up like Alana because of Cody. He does not have self-control. And whenever he can't manipulate you any longer into doing what he wants you to do, you end up like Alana. He's an intimidator.
That seems to be the pattern. Aggie, you spoke to her on the phone the other day. She said, oh, now I'm crying. Camp said, I think he needs a whole lot more than mental health counseling.
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah.
True story. Oklahoma, we are what's called a death penalty state. And when they take you to Big Mac off Electric Avenue in McAllister, Oklahoma, you get a lot of mental health counseling. You get to go to church on Sundays. Yeah, you get a lot. Totally paid for by the taxpayers of Oklahoma. He'll get it there. So let's talk about the protective order, Molly. What did you think? How far did your face fall off, even though you're absolutely gorgeous when you read all this? Were you surprised by any of it?
I was so surprised. My heart was so broken for her because, you know, we've reached out to her as a friend. I know you have, and I've reached out to her, you know, mother to mother. I know this is scary to you, but the only way you guys are safe is if he's put away. And she is clearly so afraid of him that she's paralyzed. She can't speak out. She's afraid of what he might do because he's threatened her so much. But yeah, I thought this is huge. I wish that, you know, I sent it to the DA because this is, like, you guys take this creep seriously. He's not well.
No, and you're always going to hear those head petters that say, oh, well, you know, he had a bad upbringing. And I mean, all this stuff. Raise your hand in chat if you had a perfect childhood. Put a 1 in if you did. Put a 2 if you didn't. I have a feeling we're going to have more 1s than 2s. I do have a question about the powers that be. She's given a firsthand account of being choked.
Right.
Why is he not in jail just for that? Why is that alone not being investigated? A judge signed off on this saying, yeah, you get your VPO.
Yeah. And she was still there to support him at his deposition. She was there, present, which was a violation of that VPO. I mean, I guess maybe if her baby wasn't there and the protective order was just on the baby, but just to help understand her frame of mind and what a hold he has on her, that she still, after witnessing all of that, was there to be by him at the deposition. That's terrifying.
You know, and Cody is proof that there are very, very stupid officers of the law. And no, I'm not talking about Matthew Hensley.
Right.
And Cody, you are also proof that anyone can get laid. Because I cannot figure out how any woman would have anything to do with you.
Right. I've had those thoughts as well.
She is living in fear because, let's face it, Marianne, I'm sure you're in here somewhere. It is a piece of paper.
Right.
Cody has, I'll just say I'm not a psychiatrist, but he has some boundary issues, and he doesn't like rejection. He seems to feel like he is entitled to whatever he wants, and he becomes explosive. And he preys on minors. So when you have Alana just kind of like, he's weird, but I'm going to be nice to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not Alana's fault at all.
No.
Okay. Then he, well, I mean, everything's lined up. I mean, he did something that can't be undone. So back to the protective order. Are there any hearings for Cody? How will this be kept up?
As far as her protective order, I do not know, because he was, with this court order, he was required to fulfill some things. I think I need to be careful about what I remind him that he needs to do, because we're just going to let him continue to be an idiot.
Yeah, we're not here to help Cody. Huh?
Yeah. And he did not fulfill those requirements. Surprise. So I think based on not fulfilling those, it shows that he didn't. And I think that'll just be another, notch on his, okay, another thing that he didn't complete or do accurately the way he was supposed to. But I think it just kind of expires unless she wanted to keep it going. I believe it expired May 26th of 2023. So now it's, expired and doesn't matter. He just never fulfilled what he was supposed to.
So he didn't do any counseling. He did nothing like that. No. So that's part of the problem, that Marianne probably doesn't want to speak out, doesn't want to use her name, certainly doesn't want to come on camera, because she could be in harm's way again.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially now that this is coming out and the public is made aware of this. I know guys like him, and this is all his fault, but he's going to take it out on her.
Mm-hmm. And I made it clear to Marianne that she's going to have to do her due diligence, whether it means moving to another county, whatever it is, because if not, she will be the next Alana Raffield.
Yeah.
And we do have people here that do not want that to happen to her.
No, I don't want it to happen to anyone. Mm-hmm. I want her safe. I want their daughter safe. And truly the only way that Cody is going to quit being able to do this, it's not anger management. It's prison.
It's Big Mac, Electric Avenue. Have you ever been through McAllister and you see that crooked road that goes up to Death Row, and it's called Electric Avenue? My husband did not believe me. And when he saw it, he went, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
I've been to the rodeo.
Prison rodeo? How did that go?
It was wild. I mean, because they have nothing to lose. I think, they win I don't know if it was like cash or cigarettes or what they win if they can stay on the bull for 8 seconds. But I mean, everybody did it because why not? I love that. I've never been. I've heard about it. I've never made it down there for that. But I'll tell you what, they love it. I mean, they're all laying frost when they hear they're going to get a carton. Yeah. All right, let's get to the civil suit. Yeah. Now, I had some comments, people saying, well, that's just selfish. What's $11 million going to do? Listen, in this lifetime, they're not going to get $11 million. Okay? From Cody. No. Cody is not worth a squirt of piss. That's not the thing. What we have, though, is a court document. His own words admitting many things. So I'm going to let Molly take the wheel. Yeah, so in the civil lawsuit that Palmer Law worked really, really hard to help us win, the judgment on that isn't decided. I want to clear this up. The family isn't the one who decides on a dollar amount. We don't. This isn't a Santa Claus wish list, and then we get that money, or Kevin and Heather get that money. It is a very calculated, process that the family does not do. This is the attorneys, and they base that off of other things that they have found, and then they present that in the case. That has nothing to do with us. So, and like you mentioned, a lot of people were saying, well, that's selfish. They're just after money. And really, really would rather have never been in this position in our life. We don't know how to navigate this. We are just, Palmer Law is, in charge of this. As far as the civil case, they know this is the best route. Okay, this is what we do for now while we're awaiting criminal charges to be filed. And this is, based on Cody was hacking into her social media several times and getting pictures, which is so disgusting, and sending messages to other young girls. And that
in itself is a crime.
Yes, it is. I'm like, whenever I hear that, I'm like, why don't we just start there with the criminal charges? Start with that.
in Tulsa County a few days ago, and I'm trying to get the Tulsa World to pick this up. So I have 2 phone calls in, an email, but that's a conversation for later. Anyhow, there was a guy, and he had some pictures of a consensual girlfriend who was above the age of 18. Okay? They're putting his ass in jail because he sent them out to a lot of other people in hopes of embarrassing her or whatever. What a way to get her back. Whatever happened to chocolates and flowers and a good old date at the Olive Garden? But this is what he did to try to get her back. He's going to jail for a little bit for this. And so here they are, underage. He hacked in and did nothing.
Yeah. And Palmer Law handed this information over on a silver platter. And Prague police knew that he had photos of underage girls on his phone. That he says, I deleted them after 2 days. Yeah, bet you did. Honest dude, so honorable. But I really can't wrap my brain around why they aren't doing even the bare minimum. And so that's why we're like, okay, we're going to do what we can with what we have. And that's where we have the civil lawsuit, because we cannot force them to file criminal charges. Unfortunately.
You can't, but you've done all you can do, and I think it will come. I do. It will.
It will.
Soulshine said, maybe this is a dumb question. No, because I've asked it many times. How is Cody not being charged with CP charges of some kind? He should. We have a case totally different out of Florida, Stephen Stearns, who had many, 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 many pictures of Madeline Soto. They're looking at the death penalty. Now, mind you, he participated in many of these photos, but they don't take it lightly. No. He's admitted to this. And the important thing is, as of right now, is that Palmer Law Firm and the backbone of your family got Cody under oath. But like John says right here, we handed that information over on a silver platter. It was still within the statute of limitations. The authorities did nothing. That is going to be another talking point, so I don't take all these left turns and go back around the barn and take a right turn and get back to what we're talking about. Of what the hell is going on in Prague, Oklahoma. All right, let's get to some more about the civil suit to clear that up for some people in the peanut gallery. There's beautiful Alana. And I would love, love, love to have Matthew Hensley on the show. I understand that this has really taken a toll on him. Because when you're just trying to do your job and do your job for the right reasons, and you're constantly shut down in a child's justice as at stake, I get why he left law enforcement. I get why he went to the oil field, Mm-hmm. All right, this is from Law and Crime. We're not going to see John on here, but maybe John can grab the link and come up in a minute.
14-year-old Alana Rathfield was found dead in her garage, a tragedy that authorities ruled a suicide. But unanswered questions and a troubling connection to social media led her family to file a wrongful death lawsuit, and they were just awarded millions of dollars. Their fight for criminal accountability is far from over. I'm going to be speaking with the family's attorney as we get to the bottom of this case. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. The family of Oklahoma teen girl Alana Rathfield scored a major legal victory after a judge awarded them millions of dollars in a wrongful death lawsuit that was filed after.
I need to look at my email again to Joseph Morgan to see, because sometimes I type things out too fast, to see if I said to him that there is a civil judgment. I know I told Josh from the lab. I know Chris McDonough knows. But the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Mm-hmm.
So if any of you are interested in firing out an email, don't hesitate. Please let me know.
After
Because there's a huge difference between speculation and having a civil judgment.
she died in December of 2020. And this case has drawn attention from everywhere because there have been inconsistencies in the investigation. It's also about the actions of a man who was connected to Alana's social media account that was at the center of this lawsuit and now has resulted in an $11.6 million judgment in favor of Alana's family. So what led to this lawsuit? Well, here's the background of the case in case you don't know it. On the morning of December 8th, 2020, 14-year-old Alana Raffield was discovered dead inside of her family's garage with a gunshot wound to her head. Alana's mother, Heather, and her stepfather, Kevin Williams, found this teen girl at around 6 a.m. They immediately called 911. Her death was ruled a suicide, and the Prague Police Department closed the case. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation also never opened a formal investigation into Alana's death. And the family expressed concerns about this, but we're going to get to that a little bit more in a minute. This is a tough case. It's not an easy one. And look, we appreciate you guys coming to us as we cover it. And I know I always say this, but look, we wouldn't be able to continue to do this without the support that we get from you guys and also the support that we get from our sponsors. And I want to call out one incredible partner.
I don't have a sponsor. I couldn't even get Cajun Ed to sponsor me, so I don't really care about their sponsors right now. I have pinned the link to the TikTok channel, Alana's Voice. I know a lot of you are big TikTok users. I get followed on TikTok, and I have like 2 whole things on there. And they're about Athena Brownfield. I just don't get into it that much. But it's a very, very important platform. So you TikTokers, follow, share. Okay, let's get through Jesse's sponsor.
Right. Okay. After she died. In fact, Long Crime, we obtained a copy of the petition that the Raffield family filed in their wrongful death lawsuit. And the allegations against Baker, they're really troubling. And an investigation by the City of Prague Police revealed, quote, stalking behavior by Cody Baker, who was fixated on Alana Raffield as his one love that he would spend forever with.
Okay, as hard as this is, it's going to take a while, but we're going to break it down. These are legal documents. This is not speculation. This is not people saying, I think. These are legal documents. An investigation by City of Prague police revealed stalking behavior by Cody Baker, who was fixated on Alana Raffield as his one love that he would spend forever with. That is an exhibit. That is an incident offense report, page 8, item 10. That's their finding. I have my glasses on. They're not the best glasses, but it says an investigation by City of Prague police. That's their finding. And next thing you know, they're like, she did this to herself.
Right. Well, because that's a much simpler way for them to go back to doing all the other stuff they had to deal with that day, I guess. I don't know. I'm sure they were busy.
With their millions of homicides.
Millions.
I about fell out of my chair when you told me that. I'm like, there's not millions of people in Oklahoma.
Oh.
In the petition, there's also visual evidence of what seems to point to an obsession with Alana. It says evidence of the strength of Cody Baker's fixation upon Alana Raffield is found in Cody Baker's arm tattoo. The Roman numerals, and it lists it out, reference the date December 8th, 2020. And remember, this is the date that Alana was discovered dead. Now, a friend that police had interviewed told them Baker had admitted to sending inappropriate photos to Alana, but that he deleted those off of his phone. And police found these nude photos of an unidentified woman, and Baker admitted, or allegedly admitted in his own words, that he was worried about becoming a sex offender, and the police was going to come
Okay, Jesse's doing a great job, but I think Molly can do better. In the alternative, if Alana Rafffield committed S, then the S was due to Cody Baker's negligent and criminal acts as documented in Exhibit A. Whereas Cody Baker admits to sending inappropriate photos to Alana, we have Exhibit A, Incident Offense Report, paragraph 12, section, also Exhibit A. Stated Baker told her, that he was worried about becoming an RSO and the police was going to look for him soon. You were easy to find, dude. Baker stated that there are photos that would get him in trouble due to him being 18 and Alana being 14. He hacked into the phone. That's basically like some dark web stuff.
That's sick.
We have had some, there's cases everywhere where they like, oh, I just clicked the link and it just downloaded to my computer. No, they can figure that out, dude. But when you have them and you're in possession of them, that's against the law. Now, going back to your contact with the DA's office, saying they have millions of homicides, I'm going to tell you guys the top news stories for Prague, Oklahoma right now. And I think at any point you guys want to yell bullshit about the millions of homicides, you let me know. You guys ready for CLL breaking news? The Oakley's already calling bullshit. Okay, 2 weeks ago, Celia Thornton passed away. Looks like a beautiful woman. Beautiful. September, Prague Assistant Police Chief charged with allegedly sexually abusing foster children. Okay, that's not a homicide. Disgusting, but it's not a homicide. Back in November, Prague under boil order after E. coli discovered in water. Okay, also in November, fatal collision on US 62 claims lives of 2 Oklahoma drivers. Horrible. Okay, the same day from KOCO, Oklahoma town under boil order after E. coli found in water. Okay, looks like there's another death there. That's in Shawnee, don't care. Let's see, last month, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol has issued a Casey alert on behalf of the Prague Police Department for 29-year-old Miramar Juarez. They were looking for her. That's pretty much it. So where's the millions of homicides?
Right. I'll be calling her back today. I hope I get to talk to more than just the secretary. I believe she probably left a little note at the secretary's desk that says, if Molly Giddens is calling, I can't talk to her until, I'll let you know any different, because I told her, in a few days, I'm going to be checking on, whether the fingerprints have been done and DNA testing have been done on that gun. And also, you guys found the phones, right? And she said, phones? No, they weren't with the gun. There was someone else. I guess I'll have to start looking for that now. And I was like, yep, that'll be that. You're going to need to do that too. So I think she's not wanting to talk to me until she's got something to say, but I'll keep calling.
And that's fair enough. JW said there are a few good young cops on Prague PD. They can't even keep a ped off the force. Isn't that the truth? There is no such thing as every cop is bad, or every DA is bad, or every doctor is bad. That just seems to kind of be the human stain no matter what country you're from. You hear about a policeman that did something bad and everyone goes, fuck the police. Right. Fuck the police. You hear about a surgical team that accidentally left a sponge in someone. Then it's all doctors are bad. People just make these leaps and bounds. Something very, 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 very bad happened December of 2020. And I think it got encapsulated a few months ago with some other things. But no, we're not saying everybody in Prague, Oklahoma, or on that force are bad people.
No.
Looking for him soon. So Baker stated that there are photos that would get him in trouble due to him being 18 years old and AR being 14 years old. And there's also evidence in this petition of multiple cryptic messages from Alana's Snapchat account and anonymous accounts, but all after her death. And these include photos and posts which the family believes may have been attempts by Cody Baker to mislead investigators. And a couple examples of these are mentioned in the petition, one being an anonymous post to Instagram made by account Weasel the Goat, where the poster says, "I stopped you twice, but failed on the third. I thought you were done trying. I was sadly wrong." There's another example of communication.
Oh, I love the term weasel.
Right?
And he got 66 likes. Holy shit. By the way, if you're in here, hit the like. Give it a thumbs up.
He found, right, through this, he had opportunity to become, to be seen as a hero with this little comment that he's making. "I stopped you twice. What a noble guy. But I failed on the third. I thought you were done trying. I was sadly wrong." And in the deposition, he admits that that was all a lie. And his response whenever that was brought to his attention, "Okay, why did you lie?" He said, "Everybody lies on the internet. Liars do. I don't. People who have something to lie about do."
It is such a common thing on the internet with guilty people. I've seen it a lot on this channel. They honestly think if they say it on the internet, somehow it's true.
Right.
They really think that if they say it to Facebook or they say it to YouTube or TikTok or X or any of those, that that is somehow part of a police record. Oh, it's looked at. It's followed up on, but it's easily dismissed if it's not true. Prague is too small to handle an investigation like this. And they did not, I'm going to go ahead and give you a preface to part 3. They did not want OSBI involved because of other things that were going on inside the department. They didn't want it. They did not want the big boys coming in and questioning the DA. They did not want the big boys coming in and questioning another, I'll just say officer on the force. And I guess according to them, you know, their train of thought is for good reason. It's to protect their own asses. It shouldn't be that way. And also they knew that they have a very beautiful young girl, all right, who is no longer with us. They know how people feel about crimes against children. And they could not, now this is my opinion. I've got a lot more to think about this. I got to really brain it up with Jules' True Crime Reactions. Because if this goes viral, skeletons, it's going to look like that scene in Poltergeist when Jo Beth Williams jumped in the pool and skeletons were popping up all around her. So at any cost, they could not have the spotlight on Prague, Oklahoma. Mic drop.
You twice, but failed on the third. I thought you were done trying. I was sadly wrong. There's another example of communications coming from Alana's account, clearly, again, after her passing, this time on Snapchat, where the user mentions that she had cuts on her arms and wrists. And Baker actually admitted to having access to Alana's social media, particularly her Snapchat account. But he told police that, he only accessed her account to keep all the haters off of her Snapchat and get a few pictures of her because he missed her. And that was the subject of this lawsuit against Mr. Baker. And as we get into more details about the case and the investigation, I want to invite on a special guest. I want to bring on attorney Brandon Pearson, who has represented the Raffield family during the course of this.
Okay, I had to catch myself a little bit ago when I said, you're never going to convince me that every teacher's bad, every cop is bad. I started to say, you can't convince me that every lawyer is bad. Then I was going to say, maybe 50-50. But you have to admit, here we go. Palmer Law Firm is absolutely amazing because they went through the trenches. They jumped in the deep end. Jewel, the True Crime Reaction said, police negligence. Whiskey Dragon, would you like to come up and speak? If you want to, you are more than welcome to. But I'm more than impressed with the passion and respect for the law and love for the family that the Palmer Law Firm has had.
Brandon, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. So first of all, if you can explain to us, what was the suit about when it was filed in 2022, and why did the court rule this way with an $11.6 million judgment?
Jesse, thank you for having me on. I think it's important to put in context what kind of a lawsuit this is. This is civil in nature. So in a criminal case, you have beyond a reasonable doubt as your burden of proof. It's said to be anywhere from 85 to 95% beyond any reasonable doubt. It's obviously a higher burden to meet than a civil case. We can get into, why the criminal case went the way that it did, why the investigation went the way that it did, whether it's lack of budget appropriation or going with the wrong leads. It's been called a botched investigation by our own Oklahoma State legislature, who started the Alana Raffield Fund in her name as it relates to the amount of budget appropriation and training that the Prague Police and surrounding county sheriff's office had. We filed a civil case because justice comes in a lot of forms. Sometimes it comes in the form of a verdict. Sometimes it comes in the form of somebody having just a count in open court for what they did or what role that they played without actually getting criminal liability or some sort of punishment related to it. In this case, the civil standard is different than beyond a reasonable doubt. It's by preponderance of the evidence.
Right.
We're looking at what.
Okay, this is a big difference because when you have a civil suit, like he said, it's just based on the evidence. It's not a beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. And it is a huge win for the family. Scotty Too Hottie said at Whiskey Dragon, I'm going to do what I can do to get eyes on this. Please, please, please. Please, please, please. And this is Keegan Williams backstage. Do you know him?
Yeah, love him a lot. Yes, he's the best.
All right, let's have a huge CLL round of applause for Keegan Williams. I have a feeling I know who this is. Well, you have a lot of people in here that totally love your family, supportive of your family. Welcome, Keegan.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good.
Hi, Keegan.
Hey, Molly.
Thanks for coming on with me.
Yeah, of course.
Anytime. Wait till part 3. You guys have to get me to shut up. That's really hard to do. Now, listen, for those of you that are saying we need more people to cover this, we do, and we do. Now then, for those of you that follow true crime on YouTube or wherever it is that you hang out, if someone that you frequent quite a bit is ignoring your requests for Alana, it's not because if it's one thing, they're like, I'm on spring break, I'll get back and look at it. But if it's total, just they're ignoring you, but they want to go live 5 times a day to talk about Seth Rogers' fat ass, then what you need to do is use your brain, use your integrity, use your heart, and think to yourself, what would I want for my child? Okay? And I'm not saying Sebastian's not important. I'm not saying that anyone is not important. But the internet is a big, big, big place. And there's 24 hours in a day. All right, Keegan, sorry for that rant I just had.
No, you're good.
I probably don't have to ask you what you think about Cody Baker, but I'm
Yeah.
going to go ahead and do it.
Well, in middle school, he went to the same church as me, so I had known him for a while. Him and I used to be not close friends, but we did hang out every now and then. And then I went to this VOTEC school called Gordon Cooper, and he rode the bus with me there. But like I said, we weren't like super close friends or anything, but I was around him. And honestly, I always thought he had problems because he was always doing weird things, especially on the bus. He'd just make weird noises. He would try to get himself in trouble pretty much, like trying to make a joke out of it.
Like,
But,
what was he doing? What kind of weird stuff was he doing?
he would make weird sexual noises. Like he would moan on the bus and just make loud noises. And he actually got kicked off the bus one time because the bus driver was sick of him. But he would just do weird things along that line. Or just bug people until they were sick of him.
Mm-hmm. Any truth to him harming animals when he was younger? Did you ever hear that rumor?
I never heard that, and I personally never saw that. But like I said, we weren't very close or anything. We didn't hang out frequently. It was just at church, really, that we would hang out. But no, I'd never seen anything like that or heard anything like that.
Okay. Well, it shows a huge boundary issue that, I mean, he's just going to school and hanging out at church and being that inappropriate.
Oh, yeah.
Where do you want to see this go?
I mean, personally, I definitely, want to see him in jail. I want to see him held responsible for what he's done. And it's not just like my family and I go on a hunch that we didn't just pick somebody and say, oh, we're going to choose them as responsible. Every single person that has looked at this case has always pointed their finger right at Cody. I mean, even the person, Matthew Hensley, that was on the case, believed that Cody had something to do with it. But the Prague police forced him to stop investigating, or it would have been continued to be investigated. But I definitely want to see him held responsible for everything he's done.
Well, it's looking like the heat is on. I mean, to the point that Marianne Jackson, part of her protective order, the VPO, said that she was threatened by Cody. And let's face it, all the evidence goes straight to Cody. She was threatened by him after being choked out that if you mention anything about the 14-year-old he's under investigation for, he said her family will come kill you. Now, I don't see the Williams family having a meeting like that at Thanksgiving. Can you please talk about that, Keegan?
I mean, we have never once ever considered even hurting her or her child. I mean, from the get-go, especially when we heard that he had a child, we were just really concerned for the child's well-being. We, obviously with his past and already his actions that he has shown, we just did not know how that would go. And so, I mean, it's never been any hatred or anything of that sort towards Marianne or the child at all. I mean, they have nothing to do with this. That's never even been brought up in conversation.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I go back to what John said, what Heather has said, what Kevin has said, what Molly has said. By the way, your Uncle Adam is in here too. Tell him hi. But she's a victim as well.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a question from the chat. If you can answer it, you can answer it. Is Cody's family influential? Sarah has a question. Can we answer that or not?
I mean, they are kind of a bigger name in the town, but I don't necessarily know if they're influential. But they are definitely a bigger name in the town, that's for sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah, they have. So and just for people who are new to this story, it isn't his biological family, but it has been a couple of foster families in the same town who have taken care of him. And then ultimately they were no longer able to keep them in the home because he was such a problem with the other kids in the home being inappropriate and saying inappropriate things to other females in the home. He ended up being placed with a parent who he calls his grandpa, ended up being placed with them. And they have a last name that is in many areas of the town, the church, the school, businesses. And I'm sure they are great people. I'm from that town. They, aside from not saying, hey, if there's any way we can help you, please let us know. Aside from them not doing that, I'm sure they're great people. But the right thing for them to do would be to say, hopefully you know, there's nothing that we have that would be helpful in your case. But if we did, we want to help you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this would be a stain on their reputation and they would like it to go away, as well as the police department. There's a vehicle that the grandpa would let Cody borrow, and I don't know why it hasn't been tested for DNA, but that is a huge piece that we need for evidence.
It sure is. It was one of my first questions about, Cody's grandpa's truck.
Yeah.
Or whatever he is to him.
Right.
Jules of True Crime Reactions, she's chomping at the bit. Was his and her phone / location data tracked? Are there reports?
The phones that while they were in police custody, they do not have the IT team to do anything other than what probably I could do to check on a phone.
Yeah.
Look, if something was deleted or removed somehow, some way, Prague Police does not have the ability to go any deeper. The phones have been given to OSBI / DA. We don't really know which location they're with, but nothing has been done with it. And it has been so long that phone companies do not keep record of, some of that data. I think some of it's like they dump it after a year. I can't remember like what specifically isn't retained after a year. But I know like all this time that is elapsing is one of our biggest obstacles. So yeah, we are really trying to get pressure for the DA, OSBI, whoever is going to take action, do it now, do it today. We're records pulled from mobile networks. Yes. I know that it showed that the morning that Alana was found, Cody's grandpa called him, and Palmer Law did they studied his phone records over the last year. Okay, how many times did grandpa call Cody? And it was like 3 times in a whole year. I mean, very, very rarely. And he called Cody that morning, and we're like, yeah, probably saying, dude, where's my truck? Did you do something with my truck? That's what we're assuming. But Cody made several other calls that morning. Nobody wants to talk about, though. It's Cody says, "Oh, I don't know what we talked about." You know, he gave us nothing.
Okay, and interesting. Jules of True Crime Reactions will absolutely love this information. Cell site location information is only retained for a year by AT&T. Unbelievable. And there is Keegan right there. Let's get back to the civil suit.
What happened versus what didn't happen, what was more likely than not. And under a negligence standard for wrongful death, we're looking at duty, breach, causation, and damages, and the role that Cody Baker played in the death of Alana Raffield.
What is the theory? What role did he play in her death?
At minimum, he emotionally abused her, and at maximum, he played an actual physical role in her death. As far as specifics of what those allegations are that aren't contained in the petition, there is this investigation has never been officially closed. It is an ongoing investigation, and for those reasons, as far as the specifics of how he could have physically played a part in her death, we don't want to jeopardize the integrity of an ongoing investigation as it relates to those acts.
Sure, I'll go into that a little bit and what you can and can't talk about. I completely understand. Why did the court rule in your favor, in the family's favor, and what do they make of $11.6 million?
Ultimately, whether it's a criminal or civil case, the first step in defending oneself in any sort of lawsuit is by showing up. While Cody or Mr. Baker played an initial role in the case by participating in the case and also being present at one deposition, he stopped showing up to court. And at that point, the Oklahoma courts are very clear about what they're allowed to award and what they're not. We actually spent a year, roughly October of 23 through September of 24, actuarially finding a model that the court would approve that's in compliance with Oklahoma law and Oklahoma standards for valuing the price of a life. Now, when we get, not to sound, in the name of avoiding hyperbole and a lot of.
Okay, those are lawyer big words, and I love them. Now then, a lot of people go back to pew pew shot, pew pew shot, pew pew shot. I'm sure everybody on the panel knows what I mean when I say pew pew, because it's YouTube. They make it sound like I'm Elmo and this is Sesame Street. Okay? Keegan, I'm going to start with you. You live in Oklahoma.
Yes, ma'am.
You know what it sounds like when people are out thinning out the duckies, the geese, the turkeys, the wild hogs, and the deer. Ever heard a gunshot before?
Multiple times. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you would hear one within your own home. Aunt Molly, ever heard a pew-pew shot around you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. Another question, I told you, Jules True Crime Reactions has got a hard on. Did anyone see his truck in the area that night? This is a very interesting because Amanda Tinsley has more information than she really wants to give up, in my opinion. But I'm going to let you all take this one.
Well, so as far as, has anyone seen the truck? Kevin and Heather's across the street neighbors, Kaylee and Jordan, they had a Ring doorbell, but the electricity had it had an outage at some time on December 7th. And so it did not record anything that night. They did give the DVR of that footage, or what would be footage, to the Preg police. They did their level of reviewing it, and they didn't find anything because of the power outage. I mean, what are the chances? I don't know. It breaks my heart that could have really helped, but it's not an option. I know that Jordan and Kaylee asked Preg police, do you guys still have that? And they acted like they had no idea where it was, because they were thinking, well, we don't want it to get lost with you guys if another agency can take it and give their attempt at it. We want to give it to them. But Prague Police, in their 4,000 square foot police department, has lost, I guess, that DVR. They don't know where it is. So not that anything could be retained, but what they do, put it in the trash, I don't know.
Or they didn't try.
Or they didn't try in the first place.
Yeah. Because, I mean, when it comes from the higher ups, we have ruled this a self-unaliving. It is very sad. We're going to send a basket of fruit to the family, and everyone just go back to digging up what you can find at pawn shops.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're not going to dig anymore.
Yeah.
The emotions that are involved in this case, that's actually a very particularized objective process by evaluating a life. So once the court signed off on the model that we were using, it was then incumbent upon the respondent in this case and Mr. Baker to defend or produce another model. He never did that. He never showed up. He stopped showing up. And on the day of the hearing, it was a day late and a dollar short, so to speak. The time to defend oneself had lapsed at that point.
So it was a default judgment. It was a default judgment entered by the court because he didn't do anything.
That's right.
How is the family reacting to $11.6 million? How does the family react to this?
Well, with the news coverage being the way that it was, and obviously losing your 14-year-old daughter, the family has become justifiably disconnected from this case. They've tried to move on. They're never going to get Alana back. And this is one form of justice, and criminal liability versus legal culpability. They've kind of taken a step back from this, and justifiably so. While they're encouraged, that we have some culpability associated with Mr. Baker, the reality of actually getting the money is an entirely separate can of worms. We have to, obviously, this will be hovering over Mr. Baker for the rest of his life, and that provides some one particularized kind of relief for the family. They're never going to get Alana back, and they've lost a sister and a daughter, and that's all they care about.
I was going to ask you, of course, that money cannot never replace a loved one. That's in any wrongful death lawsuit. But also, I'll tell you.
Okay, so back to those idiot comments I was getting that I just left in the other files saying, "Oh, what's $11 million going to do?" Do you really think Cody is sitting around with $11 million in his bank account? He'd be in Brazil, a non-extradition country.
Yeah. He's well, I know that on one of the days he had to make a court appearance. We believe he got so desperate for money, he ended up doing a drug deal, got busted, got felony charges for that. Because he needed $500 to pay an attorney. But yeah, he doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
He was winging it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Keegan.
Oh no, I just said he has no money. That's all I had to say.
$11.6 million. Unless I don't know too much about Mr. Baker or his family, maybe you can provide us a glimpse into that. But does he have that kind of money? Do you know how you would attempt to try to get that kind of money?
Well, I'm not sure that anybody in Lincoln County has access to that kind of money, just to a certain degree, as far as being able to pay back what one has done wrong in the form of a penalty. This amount of money will hopefully send a message to not only Mr. Baker and his family, but also the surrounding community that if law enforcement is either hamstrung or doesn't have the budget appropriation to make an investigation happen, there are other standards, there are other ways by which that we can hold somebody responsible. And hopefully this have some sort of domino effect in that regard.
It's almost a symbolic win in a big way. I get it. I understand there's things you're limited in what you can speak about, but let me go through a little bit of this with you. And what you can share will be incredibly helpful. So it's my understanding that the Raffield family has expressed concerns about certain parts of this case and things that they felt just didn't line up. For one, the family reported that they never heard a gunshot, even though Alana was found dead in the garage. The gun was found several feet from Alana's body, and it was determined to have belonged to the family, but it was never positively linked to her death. And authorities.
But Marianne Jackson, part of her protective order, says he has his own pew pew. Don't know when he bought it. Don't know, don't care, but that is interesting to know.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that he found, actually, I'm going to say, I think, or what are we supposed to say on YouTube? I think, in my opinion, allegedly, that he found his opportunity when she went to see, take the puppy dog outside. And she's trying to be nice to him and decided to take a ride. And then he's right-handed. Her wound is on the left.
Mm-hmm.
She had bruising across her stomach, suggesting that she was picked up because she did not have the bruising before. I have a feeling that Alana, Heather, Kevin, Keegan, Aunt Molly were a very open family. So if she had a ton of bruising across her stomach, she'd be like, look what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Parties also, they didn't conduct a gunpowder residue test on Alana's hands or head, and her clothing was tested after it had been already been washed by a funeral home worker 3 times. Brandon, based on that, when I lay all that out, can you share how you or the family thinks maybe Alana died, or the deficits in this investigation, or why it was investigated this way?
Well, it truly is shrouded in a mystery, but I think you have to take a step back and put what happened on the day of Alana's death against the context of how Mr. Baker reacted in the outset and the days following, the months following those incidents. Normally, as a criminal defense attorney, something that we look at is somebody either comes forward, admits guilt, or the role that they played, or it's inconsistent in some varying degree. What we found during the deposition that we took of Mr. Baker is that he would be remorseful in one question, and then 2 questions down, he would get angry, or he would want to, he felt that the pressure was coming on strong against him and that he would feel a need to explain himself. Not only is his alibi inconsistent and some of the facts related to the actual incident inconsistent, it's that Mr. Baker's never really taken a hard line approach or opinion or anything as it relates to what role he may have caused, whether it was a physical role or an emotional.
Okay, I'm going to tell a personal story. John Hoff said the bruising believed to be post-mortem bruising. If you just touch a person after death, they bruise. I can back this up. In the year 2000, my mother passed away from renal cell carcinoma. When the funeral home came to the house to get her, they treated her like a newborn baby. Very carefully moved her. And it was explained to us by the funeral director that any moving of her would cause bruising. Now, they already knew what she passed away from, but it's just integrity and respect for the person that has passed on. And the way that she was bruised across her stomach suggests that he picked her up, threw her over his shoulder, got her back into the truck. The side door to the garage was still open, and plopped her down in there, not in a nice way.
Yeah, she also had a fracture on the back of her skull,
which would be post-mortem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why we need Joseph Morgan, because all he does is, well, what I told you on the phone.
Manipulation role. And I think what's clear through the transcripts of the deposition, which are public record, which every aspect of this case, frankly, is, and anyone with 2 eyes and ears and a little bit of common sense can see that this was a targeted manipulation of Alana Raffield from the moment that they began their relationship. And his conduct in the wake of her death was indicative of a defendant rather than a boyfriend that was mourning. It was covering the tracks rather than taking any measurable steps to protect the integrity of Alana's life or their relationship or anything that would shed a positive light on Alana. Everything came back to protecting Cody.
Is that what you think the access to her social media accounts was about?
You know, I got to be honest with you, Jesse. As I sit here at the ripe age of 37, I'm a little disconnected from the Snapchat, conduct of the world. Why teenagers do what they do these days. That being said, everything that we've been able to review about Alana's social media, the integrity of it has been compromised. I think objectively, as we sit here today, we can say that we're not able to answer those questions because Cody intended for us not to have the answer to those questions.
Let me ask you about, you mentioned alibis or you mentioned conflicting statements. So he admitted to having been in contact with Alana, but his story apparently changed about his whereabouts on the night of her death. It kind of became sketchy because according to police reports, he claimed that he was at his home in Shawnee, Oklahoma in the days before and after Alana's death. But then he seemed to later contradict his own story, where he stated that he went home at the end of the day to his house, and then he didn't return to Prague until December 13th, 2020.
Okay. For those of you that haven't missed it, not going to name any names, Cody is basically just an associate, someone Alana knew. If you go to the beginning of the show, even through Prague police investigation, they knew he had a stalkerish vibe about him. Marianne Jackson, who needs to be protected because she at this point does not have a protective order against him, is someone he met after. Lisa Wilson said, I missed it. I'm telling you, y'all, we have a whole playlist. So where is Cody hanging out now? I don't need his address. Is he in Shawnee digging around?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
I think he got an eviction somewhere in Midwest City not that long. I mean,
damn it. I knew he'd be in Midwest City for a lot of reasons. Look at all the shit that runs in and out of Oklahoma City and Midwest City. I'll tell you what, I've been in Oklahoma too long. I can tell you where they hide. We don't want Keegan to come across him.
Funny. So this is what he first tells police, but then he's asked about a text message that an officer finds in his phone, and he gives a different answer where he apparently says, I discovered one message that stated Baker was in bed on a Monday on December 7th, 2020. I asked him where he was in bed at, and he stated he would have had to be at his grandparents' house in Prague.
Okay, this is significant. Officer Matthew Hensley, which they should have just had him take care of the case and communicate with OSBI and let the chips fall where they may. I really think, considering Alana's popularity, how beautiful she is, I'm just going to say the entire insanity of the situation, trying to make it look like a self-unaliving when he was actually Googling how to make murder look like suicide. They knew this would be a heavily followed case. And they knew they were doing things in that department that shouldn't have been done. So we go to this, because Matthew Hensley did not care what was going on with his coworkers. I discovered a message that stated Baker was in bed on a Monday. Who the hell gets to stay in bed on a Monday? OJ. OJ's my cat, by the way, Keegan. 12/7/2020. I asked him where he was in bed at, and he said it would have to have been his grandparents' house in Prague. Well, why give such an absolute? You ask me, well, where were you? I was in bed. Well, whose bed? My bed. My bed, my house. Well, I would have had to have been at my grandparents' house. That in itself, that statement in itself is beyond concerning.
And shockingly, the investigation also revealed an instance of Baker allegedly discussing a staged suicide. So the report reads, the investigation revealed an instance of Cody Baker discussing a murder video deleted from his phone of a staged suicide, and also revealed a statement made to a minor female that Cody Baker has a friend in Shawnee that murders people and makes it look like an accident. And when police...
Nothing odd about that. What did you all think when all that came out?
Well, we thought, okay, there we go, you know, okay, well, surely now the police will latch onto this and do something like, here we go. No, nothing like, sounds like that'll work.
Some sheriffs, some chief of police, some, however they do it, would think that just what they pulled out of the phone would be enough to get a probable cause from a judge.
Right.
Because we know that the probable cause is the tip of the iceberg of evidence. It's not everything, but it's getting the train rolling.
Right.
Keegan, real quick, if it's not too personal, how's Heather and Kevin doing?
I mean, they're doing a lot better, but I mean, we can only do so well, especially with all these things kind of resurfacing. And I'm sure that it isn't easy most days, but for the most part, they're doing well, keeping themselves busy. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. No.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, you're good. I think Kevin and Heather are, I think that they are doing well. They're anxious about what's happening, like, okay, this is getting stirred up again. It's getting attention again. And in their experience, it is a disappointment most of the time. And so while they believe that, we can get this done, they don't want to get their hopes up.
Right.
Because it's like an additional just defeat. They've lost their daughter. They've worked so hard. There's so much time and emotion and money put into it. And then the people that they trust to do something, law enforcement, it is just dormant. So that's why I am full steam ahead on this mission to not let it, it's not fading out. It is going to be in their face, blazing hot. They cannot ignore it. I'm determined now.
Oh, I can tell. Now, we had a beautiful, beautiful message from Heather in the Crime Lines and Laws Facebook group last week. Very thankful, very appreciative. And it was humbling, to say the least. Because I can tell you what, this community here with our outreach and what we do for victims' families, we have been chewed up and spit out before.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a thanks, but no thanks, but thanks for everything. And it was just absolutely humbling. Like Just Me said, it was so sweet. We had a long talk about it. And hey, we're not here for thank yous or anything like that. It's just, it was humbling. Let me put it that way. It was a Jesus moment.
Asked Baker about this murder video. He said a friend had sent it to him, that he would use it to make himself look strong, that he made it look like he has a backup. It's weird stuff here, Brandon. Can you shed some more light on this? And again, I think the $1 million question is, maybe the $11.6 million question is, why was this not looked at more thoroughly? Or would the police say they did look at it and nothing checked out and everything checked out?
Right. And over the course of an investigation, certain suspects will become a higher priority than others. And it's very important that people on my end of the spectrum in the legal field give law enforcement the freedom and the space to investigate a crime properly. That never occurred here. And it's from the outset of since the day of Alana's death, is that we have conflicting opinions. There was part of the open record is an affidavit submitted by a law enforcement official who is actually no longer affiliated, with this case, but the affidavit of Matthew Hensley goes into particularized detail about inconsistencies and Mr. Baker's alibi and his side of the story, his role that he played. And there was pretty much a universal opinion that he should be, treated as a high priority suspect in this case. And, as far as the details of why that didn't happen, I think that's the purpose of the Alana Raffield Fund coming before the Oklahoma State Legislature to ensure that, whether it's nepotism, which I know a lot of us.
All right, let's talk about the Alana Raffield Fund, because when we're talking about crimes, victims, and American capitalism, people start shaking in their boots going, a fund? A fund? Can you all explain the fund?
Sure. So this is Kevin and Heather. They wanted to ensure that no family would have to be left with this mess ever again, because this will happen again. And a small police force is going to arrive upon a scene, and they will not be trained enough to do it. And so this fund is to provide the training you arrive upon something like this, you don't assume it's a suicide and walk away and go have lunch. You treat it as a homicide until you're sure there's all the facts that only can, leave room that it's suicide. So, they worked really, really hard at pushing this, and this is a really good fund. This is a really good law that they passed, and I would love for to get to talk to Governor Stitt about, okay, so this is a great thing that you did this, but now let's get on OSBI's back about actually doing these criminal charges. But yeah, this fund is going to help future families, and I'm really proud of Kevin and Heather for pushing so hard to get this changed for other small towns.
Absolutely.
And, there was this guy at the last job that I used to work at, and sadly, he was a really nice guy and everything, but he unfortunately committed suicide. But he did this after the Alana Fund had already been, passed and all that stuff. And it did take place. They had to call OSBI. OSBI went out there. So it was already, taking an act and everything. So that was very cool to see, very positive.
I'm proud of you guys, too. You guys are absolutely amazing. Lisa Wilson said, I personally think the OSBI is great. Me, too. My cousin Chris Smith was in OSBI for a very long time. Now then, as far as small town, I love our Oklahoma small towns. Woohoo! I love it. I love the Porter Peach Festival. I love the rodeos. I love Oklahoma. Love it. But if there's a serial killer around Grand Lake, I'm not waiting on Veneta police to figure it out. We got to find someone else. Mm-hmm. One, someone that knows how to use a computer. Two, that's someone that understands investigation. All right? Now, if we're talking about a trailer that blew up from a meth experiment in Rogers County, yeah, Scott Walton can handle that. But if we're talking something bigger, then you need more educated people. And that's where I stand with my home state. This is brought to you by Brooks, Tales from Oklahoma. Okay? That's exactly right. Goodness. It's sad, but it's true.
Like to believe that it's 2024 and that doesn't exist anymore. It is small town Oklahoma after a while, and I say that as a very proud Oklahoman. And this happens everywhere where a case goes sideways. The local law enforcement cries a lack of budget appropriation or a lack of resources, and we'll never truly know these like you said, the $1 million or $11 million questions, because the integrity of the investigation was compromised at minimum and fraudulent at maximum. And I use those words very carefully with what we know about Cody's family's adopted family's ties to the community. This is an ongoing investigation, and there's a legitimate reason or reasons for that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, did Cody Baker also use 6 different aliases, like Cody Mullen, which he legally changed after Alana's death, and Cody Terrell?
Right.
Can you talk to us about that?
Right. Yeah, and I know my role in dealing with the complications of that is for service of process issues in a case like this.
Yeah.
According to the due process clause, somebody has to have proper notice in order to show up and advocate for their rights in open court. I don't know that I would use nebulous or nefarious as to describe his conduct, but it surely was advantageous for him. That obviously comes from a foster family. Had one name then, he had one name during the service of process during this case. It's my understanding that he's going by a different name of Mullen now. Where that plays a role in the ongoing litigation, obviously on October 15th, I believe a motion to vacate the default judgment was filed in Lincoln County. Service of process is going to become a very big part of that case.
Right.
Because there is no merits for Cody to stand on. It's going to be procedural in nature. That he has a defense under not giving proper notice or that he wasn't home. There's certain elements that have to be met in order for a service of process to be effectuated properly. And he's likely going to claim that didn't happen. Again, this is all coming back to the same narrative of a guy that's running from this, as opposed to doing what an innocent person would do, would just confront it head on. Certainly with your financial integrity for the rest of your natural life being on the table, and to just completely run from it and hide under rocks, that's commensurate with every aspect of Cody Baker's behavior from the outset of this incident.
Just going back to Alana, putting a bow on this, and I want you also to tell me about the Alana Raphael Fund and what that is, and if people are listening to this case and want to help the family in some way, please let them know. But just so we're understanding, when you speak with her family, your understanding, was Alana sad? Was she depressed? Did she give any kind of indication that she would have taken her own life, as we're trying to understand what happened to her? So, because I think that's the central question here, how unexpected this probably was for the family.
I have 2 young daughters myself that are 7 and 5. And the vulnerability associated with a 14-year-old, male or female, is that they're still in the process of developing. When you have somebody that comes in, whether it's 16, 18, 20, whatever it is, there's a reason why people with, men in particular, with propensities to manipulate or control, target the age of 13 to 16. And it's to do exactly what Mr. Baker was able to do. And he achieved what he was setting out to do, which was to control Alana, her behavior, her posts on social media, the friends that she hung out with, all of the aspects of day-to-day conduct, such that the family, to answer your question more directly, there was a stark change that occurred, one that is usually reserved more for the college-age years, where she was maturing rapidly, and she began to become very emotional, and their relationship wreaked havoc on her education, on her family life with her friends. And it is one thing that is clear throughout a review of the months and leading up to her death, was that there was a stark change in her behavior that occurred that can only be, logically related to when Cody Baker entered into the picture.
And the Alana Raphael Fund, talk to us more about that. And again, if people are interested in helping the family, supporting the family, what can they do?
When you start to look at a case like this, everyone tries to draw the yarn, so to speak, back to the sources of why an investigation would be botched. The first thing that gets reviewed by the Oklahoma State Legislature and by OSBI is the tangible resources that the jurisdiction had. What kind of training did the law enforcement officials have? Whether they were certified in an investigation of a juvenile.
Okay, I want to talk about that. This is why OSBI, I can't say FBI, needs to be involved in cases of this magnitude. for one, I'm just going to pick a town, any town. I'm going to say, let's do Roland, Oklahoma. Okay. You want to go work there. You want to go through your cleat training. You're going to get about $14 an hour. Okay. You go across the border to Arkansas, you go to the Home Depot and make 20 and not get shot at and not be around nasty ass people. So that, my friends, is an Oklahoma problem. It is not a Prague, Oklahoma problem. They don't expect major crimes in certain areas. It's low population. And so when something of this magnitude happens, they're not prepared for it. And also, daddy hadn't been home, so they're doing all kinds of other stuff that they can't expose. It's a twofold, and none of it is Alana's fault and should have been handled 100% differently. Hello, Captain Kirk Reacts. We've gone back since the Kylie Rodney days. How's my friend Ryan Upchurch? Are you still talking to him? That's who we need to get on this. Captain Kurt, can you get a hold of Ryan Upchurch and have him talk about this? I haven't talked to him since I invited him to CrimeCon. All right. Adam said since we have Keegan on here, I suggest asking him about the odd text message he received from Cody the morning Alana was found. Can you share that, Keegan, or is it...
No, ma'am, I can share it. I don't mind at all. I'm on my iPhone, so I'm gonna have to swipe out of this. But I mean, y'all should.
Okay. Waiting on Captain Kurt. I might have scared him away. That's okay. We'll get back to this. And does anyone believe, because we have gone through this case quite a few times, we're peeling off the layers of the onion, my friends. Our eyes are still tearing. We're still trying to work through it. Imagine what the family is going through.
What the hell's going on?
While he's doing that, I'm going to get to the rest of this.
In every objective context, this case was ruled to be substandard. It was concluded that it was substandard by the Oklahoma State Legislature to the point that they started the Alana Rafffield Fund, which kind of delineates and separates some of these smaller jurisdictions and ensures that they have resources for training, especially in the Zoom age. There's aspects that we can of learning and developing smaller jurisdictions and making sure that they have the resources to be as efficient as possible. And I think where the Alana Rafffield Fund comes in is one, it provides a name that will live on, and that will forever be the story, is that we won't know the answers because law enforcement did not have the resources available to them. And the hope is that, understanding of criminal cases, that the light that is shed, in this day and age in 2024, you can't hide from the internet. You can't hide from the power of, the voice of the people, the voice of the surrounding community. And I think that's one, if there is a silver lining that came out about her death, is that this fund has been established and it's going to ensure more resources towards smaller town jurisdictions.
Brendan Pearson, thank you so much for coming on, explaining the case, explaining the story to us, and also please send our best to Alana's family as well. I know this must be a difficult time. It's been probably an incredibly difficult time for them since Alana's death, but as we talked about, even this money doesn't, bring Alana back. So I imagine there's a lot of different emotions going on at this point, but please send them our best, and thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
I was stoked when Law and Crime did this. Keegan, can you share the text message that you received from Cody Baker the morning that your sister was found not of this planet?
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna swipe out. Just let me know if you can still hear me. If you can't, I can just summarize it.
Go ahead. Just summarize it. That's fine, baby. Listen, you guys, this is going to be rough. Okay.
All right. So basically, he texted me. It was around midnight, actually, of December 9th that he texted me. And basically all he said was, I'm so sorry to hear your loss, da-da-da-da. I'm here for you if you need me. And then he said pretty much the same thing he said in that Instagram post. He said, I tried stopping her 2 times and I failed on the 3rd. And so and that's just me summarizing it. It was a very long text message. And then I just said, well, if you knew something like that, why wouldn't you tell anyone in the family? Why wouldn't you report that to anybody at all? Why would you just keep that to yourself? And he just said that pretty much that he didn't know who to go to and all this other stuff, and that he told his her biological brother in at the time Louisiana about it. Well, if they're across, in another state, what can they even do to help her? And then he was saying that he was going to be at the
Hold on, back up. Her brother in Louisiana?
Yes, she has. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's fine. So, so he's reaching out to Cajun country. Exactly what did he expect to happen? I'm assuming that's where her dad and stepmom live.
Yes, ma'am.
Has this been proven? Did he really ever reach out to a brother that was...
I haven't seen anything I haven't heard anything. Honestly.
On the other side of the Red River?
Sorry?
On the other side of the Red River, did he really
ma'am.
reach out? Nah, I don't think so. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're okay. And then basically he just said that he was going to be at the funeral because he loved her and he only saw it would be, right for him to show up to the funeral. So I made it very clear, don't show up to that funeral. Don't be there. There's no reason for you to be there. It's not going to be good for you if you do show up to the funeral. And he was saying that he was going to pull up with his homies. This is his words, pull up with his homies to the funeral. And I was like, go ahead. I'm warning you, don't show up to the funeral. And then after that, he didn't text anything else other than that he was just saying that he'd be there for me. But that doesn't mean anything.
It's all to play into his what he was trying to project.
Yeah.
And he's placing himself in this hero, good guy role, to distract and try to throw people off course. The only people who threw off course was the Prague Police Department.
Yeah, He did a good job at that. And I hope they feel really, really stupid. I do. I hope they feel really stupid. They should. From the DA down to the janitor that overheard things at the water cooler.
Yeah.
Well, I kept you guys for 2 hours. Didn't mean to do that. But, good company brings good things. I want to say thank you so much, Keegan, for coming up. If you don't have my contact information, you can get it from Heather, Kevin, or Aunt Molly, or John. I think we're all under John's thumb, are we not? He jumps higher than a firecracker at Grand Lake, I'm telling you. Thank you to Uncle Adam. Thank you to good golly Miss Molly. But I want to take a second, and I want everyone in this chat. There's 109 of you. I've lost a few because I guess I was too boring for them, but that's what happens. They're probably over watching shit about fat ass Seth. Let's go and let's take a minute to remember what's important here, and that is Alana. Please light the chat up so her family can see that we are 100% behind Alana in their efforts to find justice. Well, you guys, this has been another fabulous and informative show. I didn't mean to upset anybody. I'm, thinking long and hard about what Keegan said. I know that's hard to keep our emotions in check. Yeah, I'm a big crybaby. Sorry, I am. I talk a good game, but I do have a heart, y'all. I think a lot about what Keegan said about, things kind of were cool and, everything's come back out. And so it's kind of like, the family's reliving it. That's not our intention at all. The intention is to put the proper person or peoples behind bars. I prefer the address Electric Avenue, McAllister, Oklahoma, but that's just me. That's how I was raised. So in closing, like I said, we have a part 3 coming up. Hell, we'll probably have a part 500 the way things are going. John's going to love that. All right. In closing, I'm going to have Aunt Molly say something, then Keegan's going to take us out.
Oh, well, yeah. Thank you, Brooke, so much for helping us bring this back to the surface and doing what you do, making your connections and just being Alana's voice. This has been such a struggle for our family. And we don't know where to turn. We don't know what to do. We are relying on people with influence and power. And so thank you so much. And if everybody who is in this chat watching this, please do find the TikTok page. There's also a Facebook page. Share this Crime Lines and Lies. It will not hurt anything. The more that it reaches, it's going to help us. We also are always accepting and asking for donations to help pay for legal fees. And on that TikTok page, there's a link for that spot fund account. We're so grateful, and all of you guys coming together, we're going to move this mountain and make Alana proud.
She's smiling. She's smiling at Aunt Molly. Keegan, I didn't mean to upset you, but I'm going to let you take us out, babe.
Oh, man, you didn't upset me at all. I'm fine. Really, all I have to say is thank you so much, Molly, for, keep on pushing, keep on fighting. You've done an amazing job so far, and I know you'll continue to do an amazing job. Thank you, Brooks, for having us on, and thank you for, giving us a platform to really spread this out. You've been an amazing help. And thank you. I mean, genuinely, thank you, everyone that's in here, all the people that have supported so far and that continue to support. You don't know how much you're helping, but it truly helps a bunch. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I know Alana, if she saw the people that are here to support her and to really get justice for her, she'd be so flattered. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about this.
I'm so glad you guys were here. And Prague Police Department, the uppers, as some people say, just because a horse pisses on a rock doesn't mean you can tell me it's raining. We're smarter than that in Oklahoma. And you messed with the wrong state and the wrong family. Y'all have a blessed day. You enjoy your hump day. I'm going to work on John's t-shirt today. I'm going to add some extra razzle dazzle to it. And I'll see you back here tomorrow morning. We're going to be talking about Emily Pike. She was dismembered in Arizona. I have some certain ties to different gangs and cartel that you might find interesting. And are we good for next Wednesday, 9 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't give John a heart attack.
I can't promise that.
Okay, John, how's your blood pressure? John, what's your pulse, John? You guys put a hashtag in here. In John we trust. Here we go. In John we trust.
John is amazing.
That's a new t-shirt for you. Love you. You're the absolute best. If I don't catch you in Discord, Facebook, on the phone, or however we talk, I'll see you back here at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Keegan, stay blessed. Aunt Molly, stay unseekable. And you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Next week is going to be, it's going to be a wild one. So you guys share. and all these dumb fucks that you listen to. Tell them what's important. Love you.